Oh, hello there. This is a gaming PC that I built for £450. Despite prices increasing such as the SSDs recently, this is something that you can repeat. It uses an RTX 2060 and it's an i7 7700K. Let's get into it. This was a case I managed to find for £10. Not in the best of condition, so I decided let's give it a bit of spray paint, change it and see how it looks. This is just a quick preview of what went down. We'll get into it a little bit more later on. I got these parts through Facebook Marketplace and also through Amazon and eBay. This was actually a combo I got for £140 for the CPU and the motherboard, which roughly it is about that price now as well, depending where you look. I'll leave a parts list there for you so you can have a quick look before we move on. Spray painting is a really good way of making your custom gaming PC look unique. Make sure you know what you're doing. Just spray all in one go, then it leaves these nasty splodgy marks. For the case, I primed it a little bit with grey as the white would stick a little bit better. It went quite well, I think. You have to have patience waiting between each set. Go and do something else, come back, check how it's going. The parts for the graphics card and the motherboard were a little bit easier. I just straight up spray painted them with the paint. You do a little bit of coat, come back, add more, and keep doing it until you've got a nice base. You don't have to do this next bit. However, I prefer to do it as it gives it a nice shine and seals everything up good and proper. So hopefully it does last. This is how it ended up looking. When you put these things back, you have to make sure everything goes back in the right place. Of course, if you don't, it does lead to problems. Onto the graphics card, which was a little bit dirty, decided to give it a clean down and repaste it. Hopefully that will increase the temperatures and allow it to work as it should do. As the graphics card is a little bit older, they do get worn down over time. How would you say this turned out? Good, bad? Let me know in the comments. Now for putting everything back together. The 7700K has 4 cores and still holds up quite well in 2024. Here I'm just attaching the CPU cooler, obviously applying a thermal paste and taking the label off first. Please remember to do that. Have I applied the thermal paste wrong? Probably, but hey, that's how it goes. The SSD is a fairly straightforward install. This is 1TB, which I think is quite the minimum you're going to need in gaming from now on. Before proceeding to put the motherboard inside the case, the IO shield should always go in first and check that the motherboard lines up nicely with the IO shield. Otherwise you're only going to have problems and headaches trying to fit ports and things like that, and you'll end up either having to take things apart or breaking something. It's often best to use the case cables first and plug them into the motherboard before you start doing any of the other cables, as they're often quite fidgety, and it's good to do a bit of temporary cable management if you're able to do so. If you're not sure which connection goes where, always check your motherboard manual. If you don't have the physical manual, you can easily download it online. The direction of your power supply does matter. In this particular case, the mesh face is downwards, so I pointed the power supply downwards in order that the air can escape. This little item I got from Amazon. I use this so that you can have ARGB on the CPU fan. I'll leave a link in the description. When plugging the cables in, such as the motherboard cable and the CPU cable, make sure they have a nice snug fit. You might have to push a little bit, not too hard, but make sure that they're in properly and they're not loose, and have a quick visual check to make sure everything lines up. With the graphics card, make sure you're pushing it in very carefully. However, again, it needs to be a very nice snug fit. And then once you've done that, get your screws in and make sure it's nice and tight. When plugging it in, it's best to hold the graphics card. For some reason I held the PC case here, but it's all good. First power on was fine. However, I did run into a slight problem. Using my very high level of expertise, I managed to fix the issue. Given that the motherboard is slightly older, it's not unexpected that the battery would need changing. Once the battery was changed and swapped out, everything worked fine. Running the first benchmark gave an FPS of around 82, and the temperatures for the graphics card and the CPU were quite good. Nothing alarming. For example, on the CPU it hit a high of around 40 something, and then the graphics card 50 something. Loading up Fortnite now. Had a little tweak of the settings. Initially I put it on quite a high setting, reduced it a little bit, and then stabilized it at 60 FPS for a smooth gameplay. Realistically, the FPS could be a lot higher. I didn't play with the settings as much. I just wanted to make sure that this game could be played properly, that the performance of the PC was stable, there was no shutdowns or cutouts or overheating, etc. Fortunately, everything was good, and this system is ready for gaming. A few final tweaks, some cable management, sorting everything out, making sure everything's nice and presentable. This is what I ended up with. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do let me know in the comments. Until next time, thank you.